It's night time, and Vine is in the bedroom doing her skincare routine. The room is cozy. The room is only lit by the small bedside lamp, its warm light casting a soft glow over Vine's face. She gently applies the lotion and creams on her face. Her movements slow and deliberate. She glances around the bedroom, thinking about the man who shares the space with her, Jungkook, her contracted husband. Vine and Jungkook had been married for 4 months now, and their marriage was arranged as a contracted by their fathers and for business purpose. Vine is a bold and assertive person, always putting in the first into the relationship and constantly trying to break through Jungkook's cold exterior. Jungkook is a cold and ruthless person, always busy with his work. He doesn't believe in love, and he also don't want this marriage. He just did it because of his father. He had been decided from start that he divorced her after 1 year because he doesn't believe in marriages and disgusts with the thought of it. As a renowned chef, Van often cooks food for him, a way to show her affection. In the beginning, he was very distant and cold towards her, but recently he has begun to soften a little, no longer as cold as he used to be. On the other hand, Jungkook is in the study room, quietly working on his laptop. The room is quiet and spacious, with a large desk and a bookshelf filled with business books and legal documents. He sits in his comfortable leather chair, his eyes focused on the screen in front of him, his hand moving quickly across the keyboard. His face is serious and focused, lost in thought as he works on important business matter. Despite the late hour, he is fully engrossed in his work and shows no signs of tiring. Vine quietly enters the study room, holding a tray with a steaming cup of coffee and a few snacks. She gently places the tray on the desk beside Jungkook's laptop, who glances up from his work to look at her. Vine, here's your coffee and snacks, she says with a soft smile. She looks at him and notices his intense focus on his work. He looks up at her as he puts the tray on the desk, and he nods in thanks. He takes a moment to appreciate her presence before turning his attention back to his work. He picks up the coffee cup, takes a sip of that hot liquid, and feels the warmth spread through his body. He glances at the tray on his desk and notices the plate of snakes she brought as well. He picks up one and takes a bite, swallowing the taste. He knows that despite his cold behavior and distance, she always comes to him with small gestures of care, like bringing him coffee and snacks, especially at late hours when he is working. He is grateful for her efforts, but is too stubborn to express it openly. She looks at him serious face and can't help but tease him a little while. You know, if you smiled a little more, your bill would probably reduce, she says with a cheeky grin. He looks up from his laptop and shoots her a stern glare. But despite his expression, he can't help the corner of his mouth twitching slightly, as if trying to hold back a smile. She noticed the slight movement of his lips and grinned even wider. When, I saw that. You just try to smile, she teased. He rolled his eyes and tries to maintain his serious expression, but the corner of his mouth twitching, again betraying his efforts. Jagok, don't be ridiculous, he mutters, but this time a hint of a smile appeared on his face briefly before he quickly smooths it. She lets out a soft chuckle at his reaction. Man, there's it again. You can't deny it. You do have a smile, she says with a grin. She leans against the desk, crossing her arms. You know, you look handsome when you smile. He can't help but feel his heart skip a beat at her words. He quickly averts his gaze back to his laptop, trying to hide the fact her compliment has on him. Jungkook, don't be absurd, he responds gruffly. And even if I do smile, it's none of your business. Wine, oh come on, don't be so grumpy all the time. It won't hurt to smile a little more, especially since you look so handsome when you do. She reached out and poked lightly on the arm. He looks at her with a stern expression. He was holding his smile. Jungkook, enough. You should sleep already. It's getting late. He says in a firm but controlled voice. I need to focus on my work here. When, oh, and how am I supposed to fall asleep without you beside me? She says in a playful tone, looking at him with a cheeky grin. He rolls his eyes again, trying to hide his reaction to her words. Jungkook, stop saying nonsense and go to bed, he says gruffly, but there's a hint of amusement in his tone. She laughs at his response, her eyes sparkling with mischief. When, all right, I am going, she says with a smile. Keep working your cold work, Mr. Boss. As she turns to leave the study room, she casts one last glance back at him, whose attention is now completely focused on his laptop again. She can't help but smile at his focused and serious demeanor. As she turns to leave, he suddenly calls her out her name, stopping her in her tracks. Jungkook. When he says, his voice commanding but gentle, he looks up from his laptop, his eyes meeting hers. She freezes in her tracks as he calls out her name. She turns around to face him, and yes, she asks, her voice soft and questioning. Jungkook. Tomorrow I am having a reunion with some old friend. He says, his expression unreadable. They are coming here, so I need you to prepare something to eat for them. She nods, a small smile on her face. When, of course, I'll take care of it. She says, do you have any specific requests or should I just prepare something simple? Before he could say anything, she replied to herself. When, no problem, leave it to me. I will take care of everything. She says, feeling determined to make a good impression on his friend. I will make something delicious. He nods in acknowledgement, a rare show of gratitude. Jungkook, oh, and thanks for the coffee and snacks, he says, looking at the tray on the desk. I appreciate it. Although his words are few, one can't help but notice a small hint of softness in his voice. Wine, you're welcome, she replies, her eyes meeting his for a brief moment before she turns to leave the room. In the morning, as he is getting ready to head to the office, he's already dressed in his sharp suit and is just about to walk out the door when he suddenly stops in the doorway and glances back into the living room. His eyes fell on Wine, who is still in her nightclothes, because it's her habit. First, she made him breakfast, then go to change. His gaze lingers on her for a moment, taking her sleek, tousled hair and the casualness of her clothing. It's a completely different sight for her usual appearance when she is fully dressed and put together. Despite his usual cold demeanor, he can't help but notice how endearing she looks in his natural, undone state. She noticed him stopping in the doorway, his gaze focused on her. She tilts her head to the side and asks curiously, "When is something wrong? Do you need something before you go?" He takes a few steps closer to Vian until he is standing in front of her. He looks down at her and says, Jungkook, yes, there is something I need. Before she can even utter her question, he leans in and surprises her by gently kissing her forehead. He looks at her with a hint of tenderness in his eyes and says, Jungkook, I want this now. I am going by. She feels a shock of surprise run through her body as he kisses her forehead. It is the first time in months that he displayed any form of physical affection towards her. As she feels a mix of disbelief and joy, her heart starts beating faster, and she can't help but stare at him with wide eyes. When, wait, he just kissed me, she thinks to herself, her mind trying to process what just happened. She can still feel the ghost of his lips on her forehead, a gentle and tender gesture that she never would have expected from the usual aloof and cold Jungkook. Why did he do that all of a sudden? She wonders, her heart still racing from the surprise. What does it mean? Oh, does this mean my efforts are finally working? She can't help but feel a mix of pride and hope. After months of trying to break through his ice stamina and get him to open up, the fact that he is finally showing some form of physical affection in a milestone.